Cigars are blazing. The whiskey's flowing. Tonight, the legends gather once again. Welcome to the iconic Barrel Burners Lounge, where class meets chaos and smoke fills the air. Entering the lounge with bourbon in hand, the time to smoke is here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Barrel Burners Live, presented by Barrel Burners.
And we are live, guys. It's that easy as hitting start.
Man, that guy kind of sounded like a Yankee.
Just a little bit. Yes, it did.
He did. We got to get somebody else that's got a little.
Welcome to Barrel Burners Live. See,
I thought for a second somebody was going to say something like Wicca to go to the park.
It was like it's like what was it? Not Bill and Ted, but Swing Wayne's World.
Oh yeah, Wayne's World. Wayne's World. Yeah.
That was Michigan. Oh, come on now.
It's still not here. You know what I'm saying? It's still not here.
Yeah. Well, guys, we have Leroy Lamar with ATL Cigars here with us tonight.
Hey, everybody, what's going on?
We ain't got nothing to talk about now, guys. We've been talking for 30 minutes sidebar, so we just wanted to tell you. We just wanted to basically pop in and say, hey, good night, y'all. Good seeing y'all, but we done did our show on the back.
It's done. Y'all should have been here. Sorry. So y'all missed it all.
But we know, I don't know, Pete had to work tonight. I don't know if he's going to pop in. I know he told me earlier today he was going to bed. He had to work tonight, so he might watch it from his phone.
Yeah, he might see it in the morning too. Like he'll
definitely watch the replay.
He'll watch the replay. Yeah.
But one thing you got to do for us is his name ain't Pete. His name is Sneaky.
Sneaky Pete.
Sneaky Pete. Yeah, for sure.
That's how he. No, there he is. There he is. He says, "Hello, guys. I'm here."
There we go.
He woke up for this.
There he is. I see him.
There we go. Well, Leroy, I said I wasn't going to ask you no generic questions, but there is one generic question we got to start off with. Who is ATL Cigars and how did we start? And then we can have fun after that. Let's get the history behind us.
Yeah. So let's start there. So ATL Cigars started. We actually started as a it's pretty crazy. So I live in this neighborhood in Southwest Atlanta. It's called Capitol View, and it's called that because like we can actually see the Capitol building pretty much in the fall and winter when all the leaves are off the trees. You can see the Capitol building from my backyard. So it's called Capitol View here in Atlanta. And me, my wife Janelle, and my buddy Peter, we all lived in the same neighborhood. And in fact, Peter lived in the house across the street from us when we first moved in. He moved over to another street, maybe 2 streets down from us. And so we all have like a heart for our community. And there was like a lot of stuff going on, a lot of drugs, a lot of prostitution. And so we wanted to do something different. So we started this thing called Prairie and Hot Dogs. We started grilling hot dogs every Sunday night on the corner of Peter Street. And so after that, we would retire either to my porch or to his porch to smoke cigars and kind of talk about what we were experiencing. And what we realized was that the nights that we would smoke cigars and have our conversations, the conversation just went so much better, right? And we both have been smoking for some time and just coming together and starting to smoke. And then we said, what if we can extend this conversation to other folks in Atlanta? Because we're dealing with deep topics. We're dealing with homelessness. We're dealing with like abuse, and we're dealing with poverty, and we're dealing with all this kind of stuff, right? Like systems and yada yada yada. And we're like, we should start a cigar lounge here in Atlanta on the South Side. And this is all we do: smoke cigars and like talk this kind of stuff. And then we quickly realized like how many cigar lounges were in Atlanta. Yeah. And we were like, this is a stupid idea. Like, this does not make any sense. And so Peter was like, well, what if we made our own cigar? Like, what would that look like? And so my wife, Janelle went to Emory University. They had a 14-week business incubator. And so we took this idea to that setting, run it, put it through its courses or whatever, through its paces, and out of that came ATL Cigar. And so right at the beginning of COVID, we launched, and some people were like, that was so stupid. But we were like, that is not stupid. People ain't got nothing to do.
All they can do is
All
sit
we
home
doing
and
is
smoke.
that's all we can do. So like online herfs, all that stuff blew up, cigars. We were like, listen, we're gonna make this is the perfect time. It's the perfect time. So that's how ATL cigars were born. And so it was born out of this idea that Atlanta is a very unique city in the South, right? And it's not just unique in the sense of like that it's exceptional or rises above, but Atlanta happens to be a place where it's kind of like a science experiment where you get to see a lot of different things take place here and see how it worked out. And it allows for an expression of life that touches everybody, that we saw like in a way that we were like, this is the Atlanta story is a universal story. Like there's something here for every single person in the world. And like, how do we express that? How do we tell that story? And how do we allow people to connect and relate to themselves, to each other, and to cigars via our experience of this city? So that's our story. That's how we got here. Yeah.
That's awesome. So how was the reception in the Atlanta area for the lounges and the people seeing cigars come from Atlanta, want to carry them? I mean, how was the reception?
It was great. So, I mean, there are a number of cigar makers here from Atlanta, or folks that are stationed here that are making, but the reception was great. And like, the fear though was that like all of the other cigars, they don't have like Atlanta in their name or ATL in their name, right? So to put ATL or put Atlanta in your name, on the one hand, it could be just seen as like a gimmick, right? Like it could be like,
trying to capitalize.
Right. You go to the airport, you're on your way out of the city and you forgot to buy your kid something, right? So you grab a teddy bear. And my buddy, I got to get him a cigar. There's an ATL cigar. He'll appreciate this, So it can be seen as like a gimmick or a throwaway. But for us, like we really wanted to represent the city well and to try to tell the story in ways that honored the city, but honored our human experience, right? Like we're very diverse. Like I'm a black guy, Janelle's Filipino Australian, Peter's as white as can be. And so we bring all of that, and we're like, we all have an experience of being here in this space and being here in this place. And this city provides like a background for us to have all these experiences. And so we wanted to honor that really well. And so the reception was really good. Like people were like, we thought this was going to be like a throwaway stick, and you did well by honoring the city and honoring the culture and honoring the South and what you've done here in this cigar. And we feel proud to be a part of what you're doing.
That's awesome. Yeah. And since COVID, you started during COVID, and you're up to what, 5 core lines? Is it 4?
Yeah, we have 5 core lines. Yeah, we have 5. Yeah, we have 5 lines.
That's a lot in a short time. COVID wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. And in fact, we had another that we had to let go. So we would have had 6, but we have 5 core lines. This is the La Carousel is our newest release in 2 years. And we're very proud of it, but we are going to keep iterating and keep adding to it. I think our goal is to be able to try to tell. So I have a philosophy background. So I did theology and philosophy in Charlotte and here at Georgia State. And so like part of my thinking when it comes to like storytelling with cigars is to like try to say like how many blends do I need to come up with to tell a complete human story, right? So each blend dives into a different aspect of our humanity and gives you an opportunity to smoke that and have that conversation and interact with that cigar in that way. So I'm not sure what the total number is going to be yet.
The consumers
but I
will
do,
let you know.
yeah. I do know that we have at least four blends left to get to like a unified system.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what else comes with that, you know?
Yeah, I'm smoking the La Carousel right now, and what's that? Ecuadorian Habano, but that retro hell is pretty damn intense on that.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. So I remember the first time. So when we came up with this blend, our factory is in Nicaragua, SLE. It's Casa Y Hernandez. It's Steven Hernandez, who's been in the industry for, golly, I don't even know how many years. I feel like Steven was like born in a tobacco field. But I remember when I went down there and we were working on these blends, and so we had, you know, if you ever like get a chance to go to a factory while somebody's blending cigars, like there'll be a ton of samples from just all, you know, just whatever. And I was smoking this, and I was like, this is good. This is good. And I actually had a sinus infection. And I was like, this might be the wrong time for us to be working on cigars. And Steven was like, I want you to retro hell this thing like 3 times, and then we'll talk. And man, I hit the retro hell on the second one, dude. My eyes started watering. I started snotting. I was like, okay, all right, we got something. If nothing else, we have a medicinal cigar that we can recommend to people who are having sinus issues. If you don't want to use Vicks Vapor Rub, this La Carousel will clean you out after 2 retros.
it will cleanse your palate. It will clean your nose. But it is not bad. Don't be scared of it, guys. It is pleasant but powerful. I mean, when I say to clean you out, it's I was like, with that first retro, I wanted to interrupt you all ago and be like, damn.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. I'm very, very proud of what Steven and his team did, in the way we were able to kind of pull that off. They did a good job.
Yeah, and then you rolled right in. I was going to ask you the factory. You answered that. The first question I have for you, you kind of segued, and you already answered it in a way. So I'm curious that when I ask the question, if you're going to go back to the same answer I think you're going to say. But my first question for you was, what is something that people assume about ATL cigars that's completely wrong? And you kind of touched on that a while ago with the history of ATL, and I think that's what's going to be your answer.
Yeah, I mean, that is my answer. I think people think that the cigar is like a regional cigar that is just for people from Atlanta, that is just here. But that's not the idea. Yeah, the idea behind the cigar, I mean, it's like, you know, and you know, I get it, right? Like, so nobody balks at a Miami cigar, or, you know, but like Atlanta is not a place that you would first think of you would think of like a cigar town, you know? But I mean, the fact is that like Atlanta we have more cigar shops per capita than any other city in the world. So there's a ton of cigar smokers here. There's a lot of cigar stuff happening here. But the idea behind the brand, though, was to like see the unique situatedness of Atlanta and what it represented in the country, and to see it as a microcosm of the world, and to be able to say the experiences and the stories and what happens here in Atlanta is your story too. And you can find yourself in the cigar, you can find yourself in these blends, and you can use these as opportunities for connection and for relationship. Because that's how we started. We were connecting to people who didn't have anything. We were connecting to the homeless, to the poor, to the orphans, to whatever in our community. And we found ourselves in that place, and we wanted to continue to expand that.
That's awesome. Cigar and Games, the La Carousel is what we're talking about. That's the one I'm smoking now. That's the one with the retro. This is the newest one he's got out right now. So that's what we were talking about on that one.
All right, guys, we got to kind of take a walk. My cat is sitting here, and
meow, meow.
I need to let this guy in the house and make sure.
Go for it, man.
So we can talk and walk. So I'm good as long as you guys are good. Let's do it.
Goki, you got any questions before I kick off another one? You got anything for?
No, we good. Go ahead. You guys talk. Let's do it.
No, I mean, that I think that's really one of the things that I appreciate, you saying that about Atlanta, because Jason and I are both in communities that do not have a large cigar presence. I mean, that's the whole reason that this club exists, was guys that don't necessarily have a local that they can drop into fast, much less, all across the city that there's, 10, 20, 30 lounges. I think Oklahoma City, they're mostly members lounges. I think that there's only 2 public smokes, one of them being a burn and then another one being another spot right across from the Air Force Base.
Oh, wow.
But there's a lot of cigar stores, but there's not a lot of places to sit and smoke. So, even in a city, with 1 million people in it, there's really not that many places to go. Me being over an hour from there, that makes it really difficult. Heck, my closest town's 25 minutes.
That's tough.
And he has a lounge, but he's only open from 9 to 6 because he's got a family. And his overhead, he doesn't make enough to not just have him.
Correct.
So
he can't hire anybody else on to take care of stuff.
Yeah. So so that's a big thing, hearing somebody being able to say, what the culture of cigar is doing in a community and things like that. For me, that's cool as shit, because I haven't been able to insert myself in anything like that and really enjoy that. At some point I will. I'm going to take a vacation here soon and go to a bigger town that's got 10 or 20 cigar lounges, and I'm just going to drive around and hit them all.
Absolutely.
You just got to open one on the ranch, Okie. The Okie's Dude Ranch, man.
There it is.
Got to get you one, man. Invite only. Invite only.
Yeah.
You can call you call it Roadhouse, man. Come on, we'll
yes, absolutely. The double deuce.
Yeah, the double deuce.
The double deuce. We're going absolutely.
You get what was the blind musician? Get him.
Oh yeah. Yes,
great.
There he goes.
Blind in real life and playing music like that.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Man, they don't make movies like that no more, fellas.
Man, listen, I watched the remake, and the remake was okay.
The remake was all right.
It was all right, but it still didn't have the
don't hit
of the original,
It was Roadhouse in name only. It was about a different Roadhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
And Conor
McGregor, I think Jake yeah. He was too much. I think Jake Gyllenhaal could have pulled it off. He has a certain swag, but there's another level of I don't know, that Patrick Swayze had that he brought to that Dawson character. Jake Gyllenhaal just couldn't. He just couldn't get. He was a little bit too silly or whatever, or a little bit too.
Yeah, but you had Sam Elliott too. So the original
Sam Elliott, for sure.
Happy. The women were happy of the 2 casts. The men were happy about the fights and the violence. So everybody was happy to go to that movie. So
yeah, that's a great flick.
For a good Buick.
Yeah, you're a good Buick. All right, let's go, man. You got me on Roadhouse. I want to go watch it now. Leroy, what does a cigar what does a cigar need for ATL to put their name on it? What are you looking for?
That's a great question, bro. That is a good question. So each cigar tells a different story, right? So I think what it needs is whatever that story that I want to tell needs, right? So one of the things that I like about us is that none of our cigars are the same. They all have different profiles. You would not be able to if you took all the bands off and took bands off other cigars and jumbled them all up into a certain thing and pulled one out and it happened to be an ATL, I don't think that you would be able to be like, that's the ATL, because I know the characteristics of an ATL. I will say that one of the things that we do, we do shy away from a lot of black pepper, even though the last 2 reviews of La Carousel say that it's heavy in black pepper. which is weird to me. And I don't get black pepper. Like
I get
that's
cinnamon.
what the reviews are.
I get bacon spice.
Yeah, there's a different. It's not black pepper. There is a spice to it,
Right.
But I don't get the black pepper, and I shy away from black pepper because there's a lot of that out there in the market, and I think there's a way to tell. I think there's a story to tell. So one of the things that I try to do, so we have two Maduros. The Magic is a Maduro, and the black is a Maduro. This isn't a Oscuro. This is a natural Oscuro, though. And I try to like break the myth that if it's a Maduro or an Oscuro that it's automatically going to be peppery and strong and kick your ass. Like that's not what that means. And so the Magic, for example, the Magic is a medium bodied cigar with the San Andreas Maduro wrapper on it. And I mean, part of the idea behind that is to play with that notion. When people pick up that dark wrapper, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm in for a long," and I'm like, "You're not. Like that's not what this. That doesn't mean that. So like, let's give you a different experience with this leaf."
I think people are still caught up with the old mentality of, "Oh, darker wrapper means it's going to be stronger." You can't say that no more.
No,
you can't say that. I've had Connecticut's beat my ass where a Maduro was.
Correct.
I mean, you can't do that no more. And people still, it's that mentality still that.
And the one that gets me is I only smoke Maduros.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's crazy. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's like somebody's like, I only eat candy.
Right.
Like, I only eat candy. I mean, like, the reason you would smoke a Maduro wrapper, for the most part, right? Like, the Maduro and Oscuro wrappers, the reason you smoke those is because they're on the sweeter side. Like, that's why you would want to go to those, is because the curing process allows the natural sweetness of those wrappers to kind of come out a little more, right? So you're looking for something that's got a You're looking for something that's got a sweeter finish to it, but you're wondering what the binder and the filler and how those things play together. You're wondering what that does with this sweeter wrapper and if you go all the way to a Oscuro, you're like, I'm really looking for something like really, really sweet and to see how that plays, right? That's what the Maduro wrapper does. And so I don't even know like kind of how that story started or that myth started of like
somebody's grandpa told them.
The darker the wrapper, the stronger the cigar. Like, I mean,
but you still hear it. Like, I meet new cigar smokers. They like, no, that one's too dark for me. I don't like that strong one. I'm like, you can't, man. Smoke them all. Figure out what you like. You can't go by wrapper color anymore.
I have been cigar drunk off of more Connecticut's than I ever have off of darker wrappers.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's the amount of for sure, right? It's the amount of how much Ligero you put in that guy. How much Viso are you putting in that guy, right? Like those are the things that's going to tell you whether the strength of the cigar, where is it from? Like that stuff, you're going to get more nicotine in some, that's what's going to tell you like what the nicotine and strength content of the cigar is. And so those are the questions to ask when you're looking at strength.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the La Carousel, like we made it strong, like on purpose. Like we were like, we want to put a lot of Ligero and a lot of extra Viso. Like we want to give people
I'm not finding it strong, and I'm not finding it strong.
Good. I mean, I
love it.
I hope that as you go, like it'll be a point you'll be like, oh, okay.
I'm almost to the band. I mean, we're getting there.
You go.
It's starting to transition, but I'm in love with the retro. Hell, I keep wanting the retro more than anything. The retro is where it's at on the cigar. 100%.
The retro on this is so nice, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good retro. It really, really, really is.
And we keep touching on COVID because I mean you are a young company. COVID, we were 4 or 5 years ago. COVID. So,
Yeah.
to be so new, that many years you've started, what would you say is the most honest criticism you've got about the brand, and did it change anything y'all were doing?
I mean, so some of the most honest criticism that we got, of course, was like, are you guys a localized brand? One of the things was that our cigars were not strong enough for a number of people.
Okay.
Some people like that we lacked complexity in our cigars, and that's fair. Like, I take that. Like, I mean, with a lot of our cigars, there is a straightforwardness to them, and I'm not afraid to say that, like, the Magic and the Black are pretty even and straightforward. They're great cigars, in my opinion. They give you a great smoke. I mean, the Magic is our best seller. It sells very well, but it's also a very straightforward cigar, a straightforward smoke. So, like, trying to do things that move into the complexity as we grow up, and as we experience and play with new tobaccos, and as we take our time to experiment with new blends, which is one of the great things that I think boutique cigar companies can do, because we have access to kind of smaller batches of tobacco. We can play around with things that larger companies can't, because they can't produce this kind of tobacco on a large scale. It's only small. So unless you're going to do like limited editions or short runs, which you can, and those guys do, but it gives us an opportunity to play with some different stuff. And so that's some of the criticisms that we've gotten, over the past. And so, the way that's changed us, of course, is the Libertad. The Libertad was a cigar that we made with, it was originally called the Libertad, then we changed it to the Fire, because there was another cigar company that had the name Libertad already. But that was a cigar we made with Aganorsa, right? So that was one of our first cigars that we made with Aganorsa. And so that was one of the kind of criticisms was, being able to get access to some of this other leaf that the larger companies had. So being able to talk to Aganorsa and work with them and do stuff like that, those are some of the changes and some of the ways that we think when it comes to accessing leaf, playing around with different blends, trying to create something new, trying to create something different. I think those are some of the big points.
That's showing that you're evolving. I mean, you listen to the criticism, you're changing it with newer cigars, but I also think cigar companies need that mix of cigars. There are people that don't want transition. There's people that don't want all that flavor. They just want to smoke. So I still think you need it both. But hearing the criticism and moving forward, like the carousel is complex. It's not straightforward.
Right.
So, that's awesome in a young company to be able to already pivot, take criticism, and keep rolling with it, and actually do a little something to change it. So that's great steps already, in my opinion.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the hope, right? Like I'm not just making cigars. I want people to have an experience. I want people to enjoy that experience, to talk about that experience and share that experience with others. And so I do try to listen to what people are saying when it comes to, like, I might not change a blend, right? Like the Good Trouble is the Good Trouble. Like, that's what you're going to get. That's the cigar. That's what we were trying to say. That's what we were trying to iterate with that. But your criticisms or your comments may help me create something different, something new, something else, something that fits into the portfolio, that addresses that concern and fills that gap in the market and provides a smoke that is unique, or something that people really want to have hold of,
Nope, you got all the right answers, man. We're going to take a quick calls for the pause, guys. We're at the halfway mark of the stream. We just want to give a toast and a barrel burners up to all of our lost brothers and family members that we've lost along the way. We always give a toast. They're watching us up above. Barrel burners up, brothers. We've all lost, and we've lost several members in our 8 years of being a club, and we do always remember them when we go live, because they would be right here watching and smoking with us if they were here. And they're still here. They're watching us now. So
absolutely,
barrel burners up, brothers. We appreciate
Absolutely.
you, Leroy, for getting in on that with us. MOB, good evening to you too. Cigar and Games, Pete. We see you guys. I'm keeping Leroy on his toes. I told him I'm not giving him the same old questions he gets every week, you know. So we keeping him on his toes, guys. So when somebody finishes an ATL cigar, what do you hope they remember other than the flavor? What do you want them just to be stuck and pounded in the back of their heads after they finish an ATL?
Yeah, I mean, so what I really want for people to do is I really want for them to find out and to connect with what that cigar was trying to say, and to see if that cigar resonates with you in any way in your story, and to be able to tell that story. So, for example, the La Carousel, right? So, La Carousel, the La Carousel was a jazz club here in Atlanta. So, I'm a jazz guy. I played jazz in high school, had a jazz band, played jazz in college. The La Carousel was a jazz club here in Atlanta in the 1960s that was located in Pascal's Hotel.
That was right around the corner from Ray's Boom Boom Room, right?
Yeah, there you go. Listen, hey,
Satchmo was in there.
Satchmo. So for you guys who don't know what Ray's Boom Boom, we're gonna have another whole conversation.
Right.
And we're gonna have to have a movie. We're gonna have to have a movie night.
Yeah,
we
you're
all
missing
watch
one of
that
the
together.
best movies ever made.
Absolutely, we're gonna have to have a conversation about that. But in many ways, the La Carousel was like Ray's Boom Boom Room, right? Like it was. But the difference is the switch is that Pascal's Hotel was like the unofficial headquarters of the civil rights movement here in Atlanta in the 1960s.
Awesome.
So whenever there was like a big meeting or they were getting together to discuss whatever, everybody stayed at Pascal's. And so they had this amazing restaurant that had the best, I mean, the best food in freaking Atlanta. And then they had this jazz club called the La Carousel. And so folks would come to the La Carousel to just kind of let their hair down, man. And so the beauty of the La Carousel was like, it was this, so the Pascals was owned by these two brothers that were these two black guys that were brothers that built this hotel. But they built this nightclub, this jazz club, right? And what was crazy is that 60% of their patrons were like black, they were white, like they were not black. Like most of the people who came to the La Carousel were not black folks, but it was a place that everybody was welcome. And it was a place that like you could be, if you were struggling with your sexuality or you had determined your sexuality, it didn't even matter. Everybody was welcomed at the La Carousel, and everybody played the La Carousel. In fact, when I was at PCA this past year, we were in New Orleans for PCA, and one of my buddies the last night, he was like, we should go to this jazz club, this little jazz club here in town. Let's go. So we went to this jazz club, and it was a 3-piece jazz band. It was a piano player, bass player, drummer. The drummer actually was Herbie Hancock's drummer in the 1960s. And so like he remembered playing the La Carousel when he was, and so like this whole idea of like, and he was a white guy, old white guy, and I'm like, his memories and ideas about the La Carousel where he was like, it was one of the places I remember for its acceptance and warmth. You know what I'm saying? So when you're smoking the La Carousel, for me, I want you to kind of transport yourself. I want you to be able to sit in a place where you're listening to jazz. And, for me, like jazz is very personal because I'm a jazz man, right? So I listen to all kind of jazz. I'm familiar with it. Like it could be Stan Getz. It could be, it could be Charlie Parker. It could be Miles Davis. It could be even dipping into the blues. In fact, we have a playlist that goes with this cigar that you can listen. I curated a playlist that will take you through a night at the La Carousel for you to smoke with the Grand Toro, and the playlist lasts as long as it should take you to smoke this cigar.
Oh,
right?
you got to send me that. I'm going to do that.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you. It's a jazz.
I mean, I'm in
playlist.
Louisiana, so jazz is our culture down
Absolutely,
here. Absolutely,
for sure. And so, like, the idea is like when people smoke ATL cigars, I want them to find themselves in that story, and to be able to say, like, so I'll give you this is the craziest one, right? So the craziest one, the ATL Black, right? So if you guys haven't noticed, I'm black, right? So we create this cigar, the ATL Black, and the ATL Black is to symbolize what does it mean to be black in Atlanta. Anybody can be black. You can be black anywhere, right? But what does it mean to be black? And so the idea is that here is a cigar that anybody, no matter their background, their ethnicity, their class status, their race, their religion, their creed, it doesn't matter, right? But here you have a cigar that is telling you a story. It's like a movie, right? Like, and you can choose to enter into that movie and say, how do I resonate with this? So all of this is contemplative in that way. So while I want you to have a great smoke, I want you to have flavor, I want you to have body, I want you to have burn, I want you to move through the thirds and all that kind of stuff. We do really want you to kind of like sit with life, because that's what we say, right? Like when we talk about cigars and the cigar industry, we talk about like how cigars bring people together, how they let people cross barriers and let us have conversations that we couldn't have in the past, and we can go to bed at night and be enlightened in some way. Like that's part of what our mission is, to, even if you're by yourself, there should be some enlightenment that happens with you in this smoke as you resonate and think through, like, what in the world were Leroy, Janelle, and Peter trying to say with this cigar? It's very artistic as well as scientific from our vantage point.
So you as the brand, us as media that help spread the word, how are the consumers finding this story to even know what the story is of the cigar? Is it on the website? Is it in each box you sell? How do they go down this path and live the story while they smoke the cigar?
Yeah, so it's definitely on our website. So every cigar is on our website, and the story is told on there. We are moving to a place where as we catch up with technology and figure stuff out, trying to figure out how to make sure the story is told in every box of cigars. That you get, whether it's through a QR code that takes you to a specific link to tell the story or whatever. Like we're always trying to figure out, like, you know, how to play on that. But all the stories are live on our website. We try to reiterate them through our social media channels and tell those stories to get people to interact with exactly like what is the story behind this cigar, you know?
Because that makes it personable. So to me, if I had the story there when I'm smoking it and see why it's blended a certain way or what you were going for, I think that amps up the enjoyment. It's a little more history to it. It's a little more, because if you can make it personable and somebody can relate to what you're doing, they're more apt to keep buying your products because they relate to you or they relate to you.
Absolutely. In fact, like when we were at PCA, when we were at Jazz Club, it was, even though it was a 3-piece band, they invited a fourth member. He was a trumpet player. He's actually one of the professors at one of the schools in New Orleans, right? So he teaches trumpet and jazz trumpet, and he's also a cigar guy. And so, like, we gave him the La Carousel, the cigar, like after the set, you know, and was like, bro, listen, you are a jazz man, you are a cigar smoker, and he's Hispanic, right? So like the idea is like, bro, if you can't find yourself in this story, then hell, nobody is. Like we utterly failed. We utterly failed at our goal if you can't find yourself in this story. and that's the goal, man. Like to get the story out there and for you to find yourself in it. And it's not always comfortable, right? So I'll give you an example: the Wise Blood. All right, so the Wise Blood is one of our cigars. It's it's the mildest cigar that we have, but it's also one of the most complex cigars that we have because for whatever reason, this cigar is so finicky to everything. It's finicky to temperature. It's finicky to what you're eating. It's even finicky to like the conversation and your mood that you're having. It changes the smoke. I've had people tell me that like they thought that we put like 4 or 5 different blends in a box and put the same wrapper on them because they're like every time I smoke this cigar, I don't get the same experience. Like you got to be having different blends that you're like this is like a bag of like Starburst or something like that, a box of Starburst. And I'm like no, that's not what we're doing. But the Wise Blood was named after a book by a Southern Gothic writer. Her name was Flannery O'Connor. And she wrote her first book. This Wise Blood was her first book. Her most famous book is called A Good Man Is Hard to Find. But she writes like these really dark Gothic Southern Gothic books, right? And so the Wise Blood is like a book. I mean, it's got like racism in it, you know. It's got classism in it. It's got like, you know, this dude taking advantage of a prostitute in it, right? It's not your kids are not reading this book. You know, this is a, you know what I'm saying? This is a scary book, you know. And in fact, like, you know, Peter and Janelle were like, you know, what do you think about the name for this? And I'm like, I keep coming back to Wise Blood, but I don't want to do it because Flannery O'Connor had some statements about race that were not good. You know what I'm saying? Like she had some comments about black people that were like, you know, she would get canceled today. You know what I'm saying? But Peter and Janelle were like, listen, like, why would we shy away from that?
Right.
Like, why would we not, like, this is the cigar community. Like, we are going to deal with all this shit. We're going to talk about all this stuff. Mm-hmm. We're not going to shy away from, we're going to do it respectfully. We're going to do it honestly. We're going to do it in a way that we honor each other in the way that we talk and have, but we're not going to shy away from these conversations. That's what we do. And so that's what we want you to take away from ATL is that like ATL provides a space for you to go a little bit further, to go a little bit deeper. And we provide a great cigar for you to be able to have those conversations.
That's awesome, and it's back to it's like history. You can't hide it, or it's going to repeat itself. You got to teach it and learn from it. You can't hide things and pretend it never happened in schools no more. What you got for us, Okie?
It's there.
Oh man, I was going to go back to the fact he's a jazz musician, and I want to know what do you play. I'm a musician as well, so this is the kind of stuff that So I went to college playing the trombone, got there, learned more brass instruments, percussions, you know. Play percussion, drum kits, guitarist, bass guitar, all that other stuff now. So, but jazz was one little portion of it. So I was curious, what was your jazz instrument?
That's crazy. So my dad, so when I first wanted to play, when I first started, when I was in 5th grade and wanted to pick up an instrument, I wanted to play trombone. And my dad was like, no. He was like, I'm not buying your trombone. He's like, you're going to tear up everything in our house. We have a tiny house. You're going to be pulling that, you know, slide out. You're going to be tearing up everything in our house. You're not getting a trombone. He was like, I'll buy you a saxophone. I'll buy you a saxophone.
That's where it's at.
So I started on alto. So and then when I got to high school, I played alto primarily, and then I did tenor, and then I did soprano sax for jazz band. And our assistant band director also played saxophone, alto saxophone, but he challenged me my 10th grade year. He challenged me to learn to play a scale on every single instrument that was in the band room.
Oh, absolutely.
And so he told me, he said, if you can play a scale on every instrument, that includes strings. if you can play a scale on every instrument, I'll pay for your books the first 2 years of college, right? So
Wow.
that was a huge incentive. So I did that. So what that ended up turning into was there were times where I would play different instruments that as were needed throughout the band. So I marched mellophone, I played French horn, I played cornet. Yeah. So but saxophone is my first love. And that's kind of where when I get lonely, that's what I pick up. I have a guitar in there that I keep, fresh strings, and always ready to play. But saxophone is my first love. Yeah.
Well, and that's the deal about, with my guitar and stuff like that, is I can take it anywhere I want to and be able to play with anybody. And
yeah,
that's
for sure.
the great thing about it. And, it's not, I'm not showing up with a sousaphone, or anything like that. Although, hey, it works for the roots. But, all of that stuff. I've marched trombone, I've marched, baritone, I've marched sousaphone, some percussion instruments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because of that.
So you're very much like me. Yeah.
So whenever I bought my drum kit, I spec'd it as a jazz kit, because to me,
there you go.
Even playing jazz music, especially playing, jazz drums, I can translate that to anything. Just because I think it's an extremely versatile way of being able to play it. I mean, you can play it anywhere from, big band style to ska style. You can play the blues. You can play, just absolute ripping jazz, but it translates to everything. I mean, you can play rock and roll on it. You can
play rock. Yeah, if you have a jazz kit,
a lot of them,
pretty much everything. Yeah,
a lot of the metal bands out there, if you sit there and you truly listen, all they're doing is adding in a few extra drum strokes to a jazz mix. That's it.
Right.
So
yeah. The jazz kit is probably the most for percussion. The jazz kit is probably the most versatile kit that you can get. Like you can play, like you said, you can do anything from rock to blues to gospel to ska. You can do everything with a jazz kit.
Yep. Hey, and everything. It doesn't matter what I'm playing on my left foot. The hi-hat is going at least every 4, if not every 2 and 4. Let's bring back the jazz.
There you go. That's it.
Leroy, the guys want to know what you're drinking tonight with your cigar.
Oh, so I'm just on some Woodford.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got a straight Woodford.
Not even double oak, just regular Woodford.
Just straight, Elijah Craig. Oh, God, that's a good one too. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's not bottom shelf. Good job.
No.
I'm just doing straight Woodford tonight. But with the La Carousel, I've tried to play around with a lot of things. So one of the great things that Janelle did. So Janelle, my wife, she does all of our marketing, and she put together this sensory experience to go along with the cigar when we first rolled it out, right? So as we were trying to figure out like what flavors and what smells and what textures, all the stuff that you do when you're reviewing a cigar, like all that normal stuff. There's a book. I came in the house to kind of try to find it. My little cigar library. Do you guys know this book, Cigar Bliss? Have you ever heard this book, Cigar Bliss?
Yes.
You heard this book? All right. So the tagline to this book is demystifying the art of taste, right? So basically the idea behind this book is like it's a book to help you develop your palate. It's a book to help you develop your not just like when it comes to cigars, but to develop your palate, period. It was written by a cigar guy, so it is a cigar book, but it was designed to help you develop your palate and to be able to understand your taste and stuff. And so Janelle and I were kind of going through some of the points of that book and said, how can we apply some of that to our experience of the La Carousel? And so she does a cigar experience with like the different tasting notes that we got out of it to see if you get out of it. the same things. And so when I was going through different whiskeys and bourbons and trying to figure out what I liked with it, the Woodford with a large block ice cube did really, really well. The an old fashioned, depending upon where you go, like if you go to a shop that does like Peter knows this, Sneaky Pete, because he went with me. We went to a cigar spot and we got some old fashions to smoke with our La Carousels. And I swear to God, it tastes like we were drinking like Kool-Aid. Pete, you remember this when we went to that place to smoke a cigar?
Some of them go crazy with the bitters, man. They put too much in there, too much sugar and too much bitters.
It tastes like it was Kool-Aid. I was like, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. But if you can get you a good smoked old fashioned, that's like, tampered, it's a citrus forward type of old fashioned to go with this guy. This is good. But I found the Woodford with a large block does
you got me wanting to
really
try my
well.
double oak.
Hey, you know what? That might be.
I know
you're
talking about smoky. You just go double oak.
Yeah. That might work well. Yeah.
Now, something that I've done in the past is depending on who I'm smoking with and all that other stuff. If I got a cigar that a group of us are all smoking together, then it'll be one of those. Normally, whenever I would smoke a cigar for the first time, is a bourbon that I knew very, very well was Eagle Rare. I know every note on Eagle Rare. Like I know exactly where it's at. I know the amount of brown sugar. I know the amount of floral. Everything about that. So normally through the first one that's what I'll drink with that. Granted, it's harder to find now. I'm having to change it up. But I would go through depending on what the cigar was. I was like, all right, for the first half, we're going to drink this. But for the second half, let's drink this. Because as a cigar transitions and stuff like that, then let's keep either a complementary or a contrasting pairing to go along with it. So that way, either what you're drinking goes right along with the notes of the cigar and makes them a little bit more bold, or you go to something that's contrasting, not really contradictory, but a contrasting.
That's pretty cool. That's a good idea. I've never
that way
stepped in the middle of a cigar. That's a pretty good idea. That's really good.
I love doing it.
Yeah, I'm so like when Steven and I are working on cigars, Steven will send me because he knows me, and he knows how I move. So he'll send me enough cigars where I can just sit with that cigar in one drink through all the different movements. But what you're saying is really important because if you think about the experience that a smoker has, right? Like, and they're at a, like, let's say they're at a lounge, the Burns or whatever. As they're moving through that cigar, like they want to change up the drink while they're experiencing the movements of the cigar.
Absolutely.
And so I have typically just done, a drink, all three movements. But this is good wisdom. I like this. This is good. Thank you. Like to being able to say, hey, let's take a cigar and switch it up throughout the movements and see how it pairs throughout the night,
And I've got 5 or 6 whiskeys that are my daily drinkers, and I'm not talking about I drink all 6 of them every day, but they're the 6 that I keep on the bar all the time to be able to grab a hold of and enjoy. So therefore, if I start smoking a cigar or I've smoked it before and I kind of know where it's going to go, then that's usually going to be my pairing. Is I'm not going to go with something overly spicy if I know it's a milder cigar because I'm just going to mute it. But I might go grab a wheater, or I might go grab something that's a higher corn balance that I know is on the sweeter side that doesn't necessarily have a lot of rye kick to it and things like that. I'm into tequilas and stuff like that as well. So again, some cigars, especially those that are more on the vegetal side, pair better with a tequila than they ever do a bourbon. I'm not on the rum kick yet. It's a little too sweet for me. I mean, I know that's the natural pairing with a lot of cigars for rum, but I'm not a rum guy. It's too sweet for me. But being able to go through that and kind of enjoy. I mean, so it's interesting, you saying that, your typical grab is this and you pair that with a cigar. Well, I'm going to go do that first because I'm going to trust the guy that made it. and then
Yeah. So I do that. So I have so the ATL Black was made to pair with the Glenlivet 12, right? So like you can so it's a Scotch and it's made to pair with a peatier Scotch. So we do think about that, like the ATL the Magic was actually made to pair with a red wine, more of the Pinot Noir, right?
Sure.
So we think about those things in the process and in the blending process as we're working on stuff, and as I am playing with blends to kind of see and I feel the same way, right? Like I have a ritual and a routine of making sure that I try to, as best that I can, sample a cigar in the exact same conditions.
Yep.
Always. And so having those kind of like stock, like here's my, I have this particular coffee. This is the medium body, whatever. This is the roast and whatever, to make sure that I move it the same way with every cigar, with every sample, to see how it plays. So in that way, it does get kind of scientific and nerdy in that way. But what you have introduced,
I geek out, dude.
Yeah, what you've introduced is something good, which I have not done, is taking a cigar through its paces, through its 3 phases, with different iterations while I'm doing it. That I have not done on purpose. I may have done that, like, in Nicaragua at 2:00 in the morning, and somebody hands me a drink. Now we're smoking this thing, or something. But that's different than being intentional.
Yeah, you go grab a bottle because it's the replacement, the first one,
right? Because you done bottle killed the other one.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Leroy, as a company, man, as a company making cigars, what do you find harder? Do you find it's harder to make a great cigar or keep that cigar consistently year after year? Because crops are always changing, things changing, the blend may tweak. I mean, you got that true. One hit, I made a damn good cigar. We did it. Is it harder to get that hit, or is it harder to keep it that hit?
No, I think it's hard to get that hit.
Okay. Interesting.
It's you'd be amazed at the ability of blenders to make sure they get your smoke as close, as consistent as possible.
Well, that's a good take. I would have thought it would have been the other way. I would have thought it, with the way things are constantly changing, it would be hard to keep that cigar that good year after year.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're working with somebody who understands that stuff, like they stockpile stuff, they buy stuff, ahead of time to make sure, like these guys are not. These guys, even some of the smaller guys, we know the big guys do that. They've got warehouses full of tobacco that's just kind of sitting there, that's aging, whatever. So if they need it, if something happens, they still got what they need. But even some of the smaller guys do the same thing. Like they understand the business ramifications of not being able to provide for your folks when they come through and say, hey, I need an order of 20,000, whatever, and you don't have access to that tobacco. And so Stephen has been really, really good about that, about making sure that all the tobaccos that are needed for our cigars are on hand, and that we can get access to them when we need them to run, make a run. But that's another downside of being a boutique business, is that sometimes you run out. You know what I'm saying? And like you're like, hey, these are on back order, and
see you in 3 years.
There was a hurricane, right? There was a hurricane, and what do you want me to tell you? Like that's just that's the nature of our business. That's the nature of our industry, and we have been spoiled.
Yeah,
we've been spoiled in the last whatever, I don't know, 10 years. I mean, I think in the last 10 years, outside of the Cuban market, we haven't really been hit massively hard to where we don't have anything. The Cuban market always gets hit.
Yeah.
But like, you know, for everybody else, like we've been able to, you know, to weather storms, and like, you know, the ability of, and the love and the camaraderie between cigar makers, you know. So if somebody's factory burns down, folks are rushing to make sure they have what they need, whether it's leaf or molds or like whatever they need. Like the love in the cigar industry, particularly as it exists in the DR in Nicaragua, is just unparalleled, man. It's really, really beautiful. And so I think that it's easier to kind of keep going and stay consistent. But it's harder to like get that blend that actually like does the thing.
Yeah.
That when people are like, you actually did the thing.
The wow factor.
Yeah, you actually did the thing. And like, let's keep that going, you know. And that is, in one sense, like I do think that is one of the things that separates like cigar companies that can keep going and make it versus, you know, because again, like you hear the stories of the guys that like go down to Tampa and they got $5,000 and they go down there and they just buy a whatever, how many cigars, they slap a band on it and they're like, I'm a cigar maker and I roll this out.
Brand. Yeah.
I got a brand. Here's my cigar. But you don't know what's in that. You don't know what's in that cigar. You can't replicate that. The people who made it for you don't even know what was in it because it was whatever it was. But I do think that is a difference between, once you get to that point where you are investing in manufacturers and makers who have that attention, and that is their job to make sure that whoever they're making cigars for, whether they're making them for themselves or making them for their clients, that they have enough tobacco on hand to meet the demands of the cigar.
That's that's definitely a good answer, because I was looking at it totally opposite. I thought it would be harder. And that's a great segue to the other question I got. How do you know when the blend's finally done and you stop tweaking? Because you can always be like, man, I think we can get it better. Let's one more try. How do you know when it's done?
I do that all the time.
We're human beings.
I do that shit all the time. I do it all the time. I every blend that we have, I want to go back and I want to redo it.
So how do you know it's done? But how do you stop? How do you know it's done?
So I stop when I feel like the story has been told.
Okay.
Right? Like that's for me. So that's like, if I was I don't know how I would do it if I wasn't making cigars that were connected to story. Like I don't know if I would be able to do that.
And I was about to say,
and maybe this is
coming back to the story with you guys.
It does. And like, and I'm a Disney head, like at heart. Like I'm a huge Disney fan, and so like that idea of storytelling has been like inculcated in me as a kid, right? And so like I am a storyteller, and so once I feel like the cigar tells the story, then I know we did it. I know we're there, and I can like, I can rest. Are there things that can be changed and we can do whatever? I'm like, yeah, but the story, man, like if I can tell the story and I can figure out like, can you find yourself in this story? Can you connect yourself in this story?
Right.
Then I'm like, yeah, I can go to sleep. I
get that. Because you're out there searching for perfection, but sometimes you just got to leave it be, you know? Not everybody's going to like it. You're in a market where opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. The palate's subjective.
Everybody's got one.
You're not going to please everybody. As long as you're happy with the product you're putting out there, you keep on plugging along.
And as long as it tells the story, right? Like, so that's the thing, right? So I've had people that be like, listen, I really hate your Wise Blood and your Good Trouble. Like, I hate them. Like, I don't want to ever smoke an ATL again. And I'm like, as a philosopher, bro, you just made an incredible leap of logic where you went from two particulars and you just shut down our whole fucking operation because of these two. And I'm like, our cigars,
I do that with big brands.
Yeah.
Well, and so okay. So here's the thing, right? So what we know All right, we're all cigar guys here. All right. So what we know is that there are a lot of brands, particularly big brands, that have a core blend, and then they iterate off of that core blend.
Yep.
So there is a familiarity with that blend, right?
Yep.
Hold on, my wife is texting me right now. She's like, "We're going to your dinner."
A variation on a theme.
A variation on a theme. There you go. Right.
I mean,
So-
going back to jazz and stuff like that is basically
Going back to
you're gonna
music,
rip on a melody.
right? So, but the thing is, you have your melody, right? This is your melody. This is what you're known for. And you're going to play with that melody, that same song. It's that same song. But you're going to present it in a different way. You're going to have different artists play it. Maybe you're going to have, hey, we're going to throw Jay-Z on here and make a little rap thing on it, So like, we're going to, it's the same song, which is not a problem. It's not bad. I'm not, because I smoke that shit. I love some of that stuff, right? Like, I want to see how you iterate, and I want to see how you play with these things. That's really fun to me. Like, that's a great part of cigar making. It's like movies, right? Like I watched Project Hail Mary the other day, right? And I couldn't help but think about like how the similarities between Project Hail Mary and The Martian, right? Like they're very similar stories, lines, and structures, but they play on the story and introduce new things and new elements. And I'm like, man, this is a great freaking story, man. Like, this is great. And the big guys can do that, and they can play and they can iterate and they can make all these kind of different, you're like, oh man, like that's crazy what you just did there. That's stupid what you just did there. Like right. And I love it. I love it. So I'm not shitting on it or knocking at it at all. Like, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But there's also a thing to be able to say, like, the last movie that you saw from ATL is not this movie.
Okay.
This is a completely different movie. But the idea that the through thread of this movie is that it is a human story. It's like A24. A24 had so many kinds of movies. You're like, how do they keep doing this? But it's this human story that captivates you and that pulls you in. And like, that's the ATL story. Like Atlanta, man, we got like we have, like, for example, like Peter, like, he likes to talk about, we have the largest Hindu temple in the United States here in Atlanta, Georgia. That's insane, right? Like, to think about Atlanta, Georgia, this sleepy little town in the South, has the largest Hindu temple out in the United States. That's crazy. Who thinks about that kind of stuff, right? But there's a story that's connected to that. There's a story of people. There's a story of culture. There's a story of all of that still connects back to this Atlanta experience. But any Hindu across the world can find themselves, if they smoke cigars, in an ATL cigar that tells that story. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that's the difference. That's what we try to do.
I'll tell you what, you are amazing at segueing into my next question, because you're talking about movies and stories. My next question for you is, which cigar in the ATL line best represented you as a company when you started, and what cigar best represents you now where you're
That's
at?
a great story. That's a great question, bro.
You segued right in it, man. You were
man,
right
that's
there.
That's really, really, really good. That's really, really, really good. So I think the cigar that best represented us when we first started was probably.
I told you
probably
it'd be hard
trouble.
hitting tonight, bro. That's it.
No, we're good. We're good. Yeah. So it's. I'm gonna move my seat here too in a minute,
Got the
because
sun
is
coming
like right
down
in my
on it.
face. You see, it's right in my eyes. The cigar, the ATL cigar that best represented us when we first started was probably the Good Trouble, right? So the Good Trouble is our the second mildest cigar. It's a medium body cigar. It's an ode to John Lewis, who was a congressman from Atlanta. He wasn't born here, but he was raised here. So he's we call him a son of the city. But John Lewis was one of those. He was a civil rights icon. You know, he crossed the bridge in Selma, Alabama, on Bloody Sunday. One of the most famous pictures from that era is him being beaten by 2 police officers on the ground. But he's one of those politicians that was able to bridge the gap between races and classes and parties like nobody else was able to do. Like John Lewis was able to sit down with people and talk to people. And so like I met John Lewis when I was in grad school. So I was at Georgia State. And when I was in grad school, I worked at Starbucks. And the Starbucks that I worked in was in the building where John Lewis's office was, right? So his staff would come down for coffee or whatever. And so I was, philosophy, and I was cocky, and I thought I knew everything about social political philosophy. And I would go upstairs and I would want to fight John Lewis because John Lewis was a Democrat and I'm a libertarian, right? So like that's already problematic. We got issues already, like right out the gate, and so I would go upstairs to fight John Lewis on this stuff, and we would have these conversations, and I was like, this is the most amazing and gentle and intelligent, and this man is making me think about things. I'm like, this is what we want to be as a company. Like, this is ATL right here. This man represents ATL Cigars, and everything that we would possibly want to be would be John Lewis. And so when we started, I think ATL Cigars, I would say the Good Trouble represented who we were and who we are as a company, probably the best. And now I would probably say the cigar that represents us best is probably the Magic. I would still say, even though La Carousel is our newest cigar. I thought you were going to
go Carousel being the newest
cigar.
Yeah,
I know. And there's and I definitely want to talk about it and push it or whatever. But if we're going to be honest, you know what I'm saying? We're going to tell the truth. For me, I would probably say the Magic is probably the cigar that represents us most the best. Because I think that the Magic is a cigar that is still probably most accessible to every true cigar smoker.
Gotcha.
The Magic is probably that cigar. And so it resonates well with everybody. And I think it's a great signal of who we are, what we can do, what we can produce. So yeah, I think that's probably what I would say.
That's awesome, man. Good answers. I was curious. I wanted to see where you went with it. I really thought Carousel would be now. I had no idea what the first one would be. I was really interested in the first one. So no, that's a good answer, man. I appreciate that. Oki, you want to touch on any of that before I get to another question?
Hang on, I'm killing wasps. Hey, I've been Barry Bondsing the shit out of these things. I mean, you look at my fly swat out here. I got a couple of them that I don't know if they've landed yet. I've hit them so hard today.
Dude, they're everywhere. They keep multiplying. I've done put Home Depot out of business with their spray this year. I've been getting it delivered every week.
I know.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, and I think it's more of an evolution. It's just one of those deals is as long as you're evolving, that's the big thing. And I think that's where a lot of boutique brands, kind of, you have both sides. Is you have the ones that are always seeking that next cigar that give us gaps in their portfolio because they're seeking great.
Yeah.
And I had somebody tell me, not too long back was don't let great stand in the way of good.
Absolutely.
And so that's one side of it. But then you have some that are just consistently evolving that they can't sit still, that I have to make that next move. And I got to keep going because it's one of those deals is I've had something in life that moved me in a different direction. And for a boutique guy, it might be one of those deals is you might have like Carousel being your brand new one. What if it doesn't get the reception that you want and you have to modify and move? And I'm not wishing anything bad. Don't get me wrong. but this is all hypothetical. Theologically, you're talking with a guy that's got a degree in philosophy here. But, theologically or philosophically, that, it doesn't quite hit the same way that you want it to. And it's the reaction to that to be able to evolve and make something else different and to kind of move on to what that next is. And you were talking earlier about some people that have had some comments on some prior blends that, it might have influenced where your next pivot and your next move was going to be. So I think that there's that gap between the two of them is then the unfortunate side of that is it's one of those deals is it's an oversaturation.
I think
to too many core lines or to too many different releases that you can't sustain and all the rest of that, and you lose where you are at to begin with. And and I think that's some of these brands that we've seen to begin with that pop up. They put out a whole bunch of different stuff, but where they're at, they haven't put their feet underneath them, and then they lose what identity they had, and now they're closed.
So I think one of the things that I love is that
and another one.
One of the things that I love is that I get an opportunity to talk to those people who are bigger than I am, that are much further down the road than I am, and I have been just amazed by the love that that folks in the cigar industry have shown me, from like Carlito to Nick Perdomo. There's been a lot of guys who sat down with me and had some good conversations around these type of topics, right? So you have the philosophy that, like, if you're not coming out with a new cigar every 6 months, you're going to be left, because what people want is they want the new. They want you to just be something to talk about, something to whatever. Yep. You're gonna get left in the dust if you're not doing that. And there are other people who are like, listen, that's not you need to spend all your time crafting 8 cigars, and that is it. You have 8 lines. You might have different vitolas of those 8 lines, but after you get past that, like, you're wasting your time. You need to craft 8 perfect cigars, put them in different vitolas, let people have different experiences with those 8 lines, and that is a cigar company that can last forever as long as you do what you're supposed to do. So, like, there's these different philosophies about how to move and how to build and how to blend, and we're trying to find our way, I mean. And again, like, these guys have been incredibly patient with me, because I do ask a lot of questions, and I be getting in a business and getting in a shit. But I think that is right, is like the art versus science question as it relates to coming out with cigars, making cigars, feeling the market, feeling the industry, feeling where people are, understanding that it's really, really tough to gauge where that is. But having that, and again, like, this is why La Carousel is important for me, because, like, La Carousel is that story of jazz. And so that's what this is. Like, jazz is one of the few one of the few musical mediums where there is the give and take, the back and forth, the interplay between the player and the band members and the audience. And that's why you can have 2 live recordings of the same song and it's not the same song, is because the audience and the environment and everything changed what that was going to be like, right? And so cigar making is like that, and interacting with the cigar smoker is like that. I'm like that. Like, I'm finicky as shit sometimes, and I'm like, and I'm like, why didn't you make it this way? And they're like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a great cigar that we made. I'm like, I know, but I'm just in a space,
Yep.
And so, like, that plays into this whole industry, which I think is beautiful for a cottage industry like cigars like we have, you know?
Well, and playing off of that, so go with me here. So I had an improvisation class, and that was the great part is we'd rip off, and basically the director would say, "All right, we're in the key of E," and he'd walk off, and everybody would have a chance to riff on, whether it be an 8-bar, 16-bar, 24-bar, and it would just depend on where you wanted to go, and you'd work in that key. But it's one of those deals, if you always stayed with that Mixolydian scale, and if you stayed inside of that Mixolydian scale, no matter what you did, if you were inside of that, you were still good. Now, you could play with it all you wanted to, and how you got to that particular spot was a different thing. Going back to Perdomo, big portfolio. But if you look at every single line that he puts out, he does 3 things. He does a Connecticut, he does a Sun-Grown, and he does a Maduro. In every single one. Lot 23, his budget. He does, the Fresco, which is all of his short filler stuff. Same thing. 10th, 20th, 30th, bourbon barrel aged. I mean, he's got a couple other projects and all the rest of that stuff. But Nick plays on a theme.
Yeah, and Nick plays the scale, and he plays it well. He plays it well, absolutely. And it's like I'm never gonna play your scale, man. And we play the same scale for the most part. But but you do get people, and this is why I love the boutique world, right? Where you can get people. You can get your, you can get your Matt Booth, you can get your Room 101s, you can get your Steve Sakas, you can get
Johnson,
you can get Pete, you can get all this stuff. Hubers. I mean, Huber, you can get John, all those guys, right? Like you can get everybody who's like what's his name? The jazz John Baptiste, right? He's from New Orleans, right? You get somebody like a John Baptiste who's like, yeah, this is the scale that we play, right? But what if I just funk this thing out just a little bit like this? Like what if I What if I just, and again, I mean, Matt was brilliant at this shit, right? Saka was probably to push envelopes and to innovate and to say, of course. Okay, so the big guys, you got Carlito, who's I'm gonna grow wrapper in the Dominican, and I'm gonna be the first person to do it and make it happen, and it's actually gonna happen, right? So I'm gonna innovate in this way that nobody has done before, right? And so everybody now has you can make puros in the Dominican where you couldn't before. That was unheard of because you couldn't do wrapper. You couldn't do wrapper leaf in Dominican. It always sucked, right? So you had Padron, but you had Carlito first, right? To do this where you get this wrapper, right? So you innovate on this big scale, right? But then you got all these other players, right, who can just play shit that you've just never heard before, and you're like, how are you guys doing this? And that is the beauty to me of the boutique cigar space. And I do think the big guys are also trying to figure that out, right? Because some of them guys are we want to buy up all the boutique cigars, we want to have all of them, and we want to keep them guys on staff because we want them to keep making this stuff. And so you do get that innovation and stuff, and I love it, right? And that's the kind of space that we want to play in. That's the place that we want to be in.
Absolutely.
Is we want to make jazz with the rest of the cigar players, and keep bringing stuff and keep bringing new stuff to the industry that just people go wow.
Yeah. Well, you're on the way, man. You got all the right answers. The cigars are good. So 20 years from now, people still smoking ATL cigars. What do you want your legacy to be 20 years from now if they're still smoking your cigars?
20 years from now, I just want you to call me and be like, hey, let's go smoke an ATL together.
That means you made it.
That's it. I just want you to call me and be like, hey, man, I was at so-and-so and so-and-so.
Yeah.
And I had this cigar, and I just want to sit down and smoke it with you. And let's sit down and talk about it, That's awesome. And I can just kind of share the stories of making it and creating it and being in Nicaragua or being wherever we get our tobacco from, where we blend these things. I want to be able to talk about you, and I want to talk about your kids. I want to talk about your life.
Right.
And I just always want to have a platform where a cigar I made and cigars that I make allow us to continually forever connect with people. And people are like, man, one night I had this crazy experience, or I had this cathartic experience, or I had this spiritual experience, and an ATL cigar was at the heart of that story. And like, man, that's for me. I can't speak for Janelle and Peter, but I can speak for me. In 20 years from now, if somebody comes and that's the conversation we're having, yeah, I think we did the damn thing. I think we did well.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're getting close to the end in this. I know everybody's got family and stuff to do. We're going to have a little fun. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Rapid fire. It's a one answer question, no debate, and you just got to guess it. We're moving on to the next one. And then we're going to give you the floor after that and let you say anything else you got to say, and we're going to get you out of here, brother. We appreciate it.
All right.
Rapid fire. Perfect smoking time, morning, afternoon, or late night?
Morning.
Cigar shape, round or box press? Okie, you don't have to answer.
Round.
Okay. Wrapper preference, Connecticut, Habano, Maduro, or Corojo?
Ooh. Whew.
You only pick one. It's no debate. You got to pick.
Damn. Oh, that's good.
Habano.
Oh,
Habano.
I'm a Habano. I'm going to say Habano.
Okay.
Yeah,
Favorite pairing, coffee, whiskey, rum, or no pairing at all?
Favorite pairing is going to be whiskey or bourbon. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
The best setting for a cigar, lounge or your backyard?
My backyard.
I agree
Absolutely.
100%.
All day.
What matters the most, flavor or strength?
Flavor.
100%. Release strategy, one large release or several small releases?
Several small releases.
Now, this one is a
Several
debate
small
I've talked to a lot of people about. The creative order, the blend first or the name first?
Blend first.
Okay.
It depends. It depends.
No debate. No debate. No debate.
It's no debate. It's no debate.
Answer.
But it's no debate. But I want to say this because this is the thing about ATL that I think is great. Because I think about you, I think about the smoker, right? So because I think about the smoker and I think about like life and I think about what's going on, there's sometimes when I'm like, this is the feeling, this is what I want people to have as they are interacting with it, right? But it's not the name, right? So in a sense, it is still always the blend that comes first.
And then a story for you guys. All right, you got to pick this answer. The most underrated Vitola.
Okay. So I think the most underrated Vitola is still the Corona. I think that's the most underrated Vitola.
I think more people need to try it, and I'm guilty of that as well as passing on it, but it is an experience every time.
Yeah. I think the Corona is the most underrated Vitola.
And for somebody new to your brand, what's your first ATL recommendation for them to try?
Good Trouble.
The Trouble.
Yeah.
All right. That was awesome, man. That was rapid fire. And this is the last in-depth question I got for you because I can't end. I think this is a great one. What question do you wish interviewers would ask you about ATL cigars that nobody ever seems to ask?
The question that I wish people would ask that nobody ever seems to ask. We've touched on it a little bit, right? And so I think the question that I would ask that I don't so the question would be, what is your relationship with other cigar manufacturers?
Okay.
Like that's a question that like nobody, they want to, because this again, like this is capitalism,
Right.
This is your ship, this is your, everybody else is a competitor. But like I talked about before, the cigar industry is not that way. Like when shit happens to people's factories burn down, whatever, the cigar industry comes around.
It's a brotherhood.
And like it is a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And the number, I remember one time at PCA, this is back in, I don't remember when this was, but this is in Vegas. We were in Vegas. And I can't remember it because I was drunk as dude. I was terrible. But it was like 2:00 in the morning. And I think we were at wherever the Circle Bar is. So is that the Venetian? No, that's not the Venetian. Wherever the Circle Bar is. Anyway, we were there, and I came downstairs, and it was like 2:30 in the morning. And I came downstairs, and at a table was Rocky Patel, Carlito Fuente, Nick Perdomo, and some random guy, right? Like at a table, 2:00 in the morning, and I am like, I have just stumbled into like this is
It's like the
They're
setup
holding
of a
people.
joke. It's a setup of a joke.
it
all
is a
walked in
setup of a
bar.
joke.
Right.
I walked in the bar, Carlito Fuente, Rocky Patel, and Nick Perdomo, and I sat there and I didn't say anything. I just sat there and listened, and I was just amazed. And man, I'll tell you, like Jonathan Drew has, like I saw Jonathan 2 years ago when I was at PCA. I didn't get to see him this year because we were just crazy busy. But Jonathan, and he was like, "Listen, hey, anything you need, man, just call me, man. You got my number. Anything you need, let's sit down when you're in SLE. Let's chop it up." I think that's a story that needs to be told.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's a question that needs to be asked. Like, what is your relationship with the cigar industry and the cigar makers? Because I think people need to know that. I think people need to know how much goodwill there is between the makers of the cigars they love and how kind-hearted they are to other people. Like, I think that's a really good story.
That's awesome, man. Well, Leroy, I'm going to give you the floor, brother. You can send us off. You can say anything about your brand you want now. Tell anybody in chat anything you want. Talk about your new blend, the Carousel, whatever you want. Floor is yours, and we'll close it up from there. And we appreciate you being here today. This was a fun interview. I appreciate it. It was different. I like this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you both.
Yeah,
You did.
he got to talk about music. He's happy.
Anytime we get to talk about music, that's a good.
I can play the radio good. I can do that. But that's about as close I'm getting.
Listen, I think I definitely appreciate you both. I appreciate this opportunity to sit down with you all and to the folks here. I am truly grateful and honored always to be able to just talk. Like I'm a cigar smoker, man. I love cigars, and just have happened to have the opportunity to make some. But at the end of the day, I am a cigar smoker, and this is my thing, and I love this kind of thing. And so thank you so much for your hospitality. Thank you for smoking our cigars and trying them with me. I really do appreciate it. And ATL Cigars, you can find us on atlcigar.co is our website. ATL Cigar Co on the socials is where we are, and just plug in with us. And and again, the biggest thing for me is, yes, this is a cigar, but it's a story. And like, I really want you to find yourself in that story. And for me, that's most important. I want us to connect. I want us to heal. I want us to make a better space, a better world. And cigars absolutely provides a place for us to do that. And so that's my space and my role at ATL. And I just want to share that with you, and like for that to be your experience as well. Like, don't just smoke a cigar, but figure out how that cigar can be a connection point and a way for you to enter into somebody else's life, and to make your experience on this sphere a better one. So thank you guys.
Awesome, man. And as Barrel Burners Media, if you need anything our way, we're here to help you. That's what we do. We help the boutique world get out there. So we'll do anything we can to spread the word and scream at the rooftops for you. Okie, what you got?
I'll be buying a sampler of pretty much everything, and I will smoke and throw you my pairings recommendations.
And we're going to get that playlist from him, guys. And you never know. Hey, maybe he'll come back and do another herf with us, and we got the playlist going in the background, and we smoke a cigar together.
Man,
I think that's what we need to. We'll get him in our Discord. We'll get the music playing, and we'll smoke that cigar together and listen to that playlist.
Yeah,
that's
you
a
can
good
add a music bot.
Yep, That's what we're going to do.
Listen, I would love to. I would absolutely love to walk you through the songs and why I chose them and what they mean and what you should be feeling and what you should be smoking. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's make it happen.
We're going to make that happen, man. We'll get you a link, get you in our Discord. We have a role for cigar companies. That way you can navigate around. You can talk about your brand. You can pop in our nightly herfs and hang out with the guys and smoke with them. And that's another thing we're doing now to kind of get more people familiar with the brands and making you accessible to our members as well. So
for sure.
That's going to be amazing. Some jazz and some cigars and some whiskey. It's going to be a hell of a trip, guys. We're going to get that.
That's a great night.
And we thank all y'all coming in here and everybody watching the replay. Thank you for watching, and everybody stay put. And we're going to end it on that note. Leroy, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming in tonight. All right,
Thanks,
Burners, y'all have a good night.
Thank you for watching Barrel Burners Live. See you next time.